Pat B.
And I'm Adam Willis.
And you're listening to the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio.
Gaining.
Or excuse me, the thing with gain is the amount of like excess audio that's picked up by the mics, like turning up your hearing aid all the way and hearing things, and then you can hear from way across the distance.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't see how I did that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down here on WEMF. I am Pat B. And in the house, I'm looking the side of me with my man who actually looks really perplexed. All right, brother?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking, of course, about Black Adam Willis.
Oh, I was just checking my headphones, and there is a lot of gain in these things, actually.
Yeah.
Now
I am here.
we're good. We're good. Everything.
Now we all like self-conscious about my audio.
I don't even. No, we're good, man. How you doing? You look good.
I'm not. Oh, thank you, man. You know, it's actually a new shirt.
Is it?
I got a new shirt, got a tie. I don't really get to.
It's a good fit.
I sure feeling that.
It's a good fit.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? I've been taking my fashion tips from Johnny real quick. So
cool.
Learning the skills and techniques.
Yes.
This man's.
I am the last person you want to take tips like that from.
Nah, man. This dude comes in. I'm addressing the camera now. Anyone who's not watching us live on Twitch, you probably should be at twitch.tv/thegeekdown. Of course, our regular listeners are always welcome on WEMFradio.com. And dude, we have an action-packed, fun-filled show for you. But as I was just saying, as I address the camera and adjust my tie, this man's daily attire that you wear and are so ashamed of, that like day job you wear.
My work clothes, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm taking lessons, yo. Yeah.
It is terrible.
No.
But yeah, you're actually looking like my best for work clothes is like your worst for your broadcast clothes.
It's like him going to the laundry.
All right, well, I'm going to take your word for it. Be flattered. Of course, the voice you just heard belongs to the man, just Johnny.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And right next to you is a very snazzy individual. We all know him as JM the Thriller Priest.
Peace with my limited edition Macho Man Randy Savage, cream of the crop, the greatest pro wrestler promo outside of the Hard Times promo by Dusty Rhodes.
Wait. That's I Need Kids?
I don't think you're wrong. You're right. And you know what I was watching recently was the power team. Was it like? It's like, oh, the superpowers.
The Mega Powers.
Was that that cartoon with
No, it was when Macho and
Hogan, the Mega Powers,
Hulk finally teamed up, and then they were afraid to like shake hands because they didn't think the universe could handle them.
Because the power of their hands was ridiculous.
Oh, you are a kid. What?
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm a little afraid of walking up here. I don't know what's gonna happen to the universe. It's gonna explode.
There's a reason I blocked some of that out growing up, and now we realize why.
It was amazing.
You know what? I'm not hating. I remember those, man. I was a Hulkamania kid too. I used to try to rip my t-shirts and then got a whooping from my mom's, stretching out the neck and stuff.
I did not realize that Hogan used to cut the top of those t-shirts. So just
right.
You ripping the shirts and you think you're gonna tear it open.
Like, why is he so? Yeah, exactly.
It's like
he's
someday
not
I will be
stronger.
so
He's cheating in more than one way. Yeah.
All right. Well, we will try not to pretend that Johnny's like risking life and limb to adjust a single LED light on the sucker.
For those who can see us on Twitch, you can see this happening.
Seriously, man, I'm a little worried about you there, yo.
He does like every show, P. Like you're so in the zone that you don't notice it, but Johnny does this like every show where he climbs on like two pieces
Puts his
of
crotch
thin
in your
furniture.
face and moves on.
Everyone has been asking me to like make sure they see your attire because they want to take all these. You know, you are their fashion.
It's glowing right now. All right, Johnny.
Does it look better?
It does actually.
Wait, I want to. Okay, see now it requires a sound bite. Herb, can you find? No, it's too much. I was gonna say from the Critic cartoon show, there was an episode where it was like, "Hey, I'm Jay Sherman, and welcome to the newly improved coming attractions, where we emphasize style over substance." We're gonna talk about some reviews, but first, something for the chicks. You just start posing. All right, but no, like I said, we have an awesome show for you. We have reviews, we have news. Yo, we got that Survivor Series report. From what I hear from this man across the table, it blew his mind. You've never seen such an impressive win as Goldberg. You've never saw. I'm kidding.
You clearly didn't talk to him.
I'm like, talk to who? Because I must have missed that section.
All right, no, that's all good. We got the full report coming up later on, as well as the review of Maiden, the new Chan Park movie. Same dude that brought us the Old Boy.
That whole revenge series. Yeah.
Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. Vengeance is your name.
All that stuff. I remember the first time I saw Old Boy
1-900
too.
Vengeance.
You remember the first time you saw Old Boy? Like, did it mess you up? Because I was supposed to go to a party after I saw this movie. Like me and my buddy watched it in like this dorm room. It's back when I was in college and everything, and we were supposed to go out. Like I said, after this, and the movie was so messed up, and it tore me to pieces. And I was like, I don't think I want to be around anybody.
Nah, you had a weak stomach, baby.
You know,
I was
after
all
this, so
about.
it was like we kind of stayed home and like had a few drinks and everything. But it was, yeah, like
quick context for me, that was around the time I was into like TNA matinee and like the underground action movies that you couldn't see.
mhm,
You had to go through Voodoo Charlie's
yeah,
and Something Weird Video. Back before Something Weird was just pretty much all porn. They had like these really hard to find out there kung fu flicks that your local video store wouldn't find and wouldn't have, and God forbid you'd see them at a Blockbuster or something.
yeah. No, I mean, they didn't really have a lot of movie places you could go in Boston,
Well, the
especially.
type of
I think
places
they
where
had
you
like,
would find Old Boy.
yeah, you could go to
Yeah.
like Hollywood Express, I think, in Somerville, and like in Cambridge, they had like 2 locations. They had like foreign stuff and like and stuff like that. But Mike's Movies, I think.
I remember
Oh,
Mike's.
you remember
Yeah.
Mike's? Billy used to work at
Yeah.
Mike's. That's a whole big thing.
I remember Mike's.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Another
that was, like,
correspondent we have on the show, Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, there was like 3 locations you could get like decent movies from overseas. And
Baby,
all
my spot's
that
for
kind of stuff
Chinatown.
down
Okay,
here.
you find
Word.
Disc Angel especially was a place I'd go to get my broken PlayStation fixed, and then my fixed PlayStation
And the
shipped.
newest hot,
so
whatever.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, dude, you go
You fell
there.
off the back of somebody's truck, but you never asked.
And you don't ask
Shaky
those
can.
questions. You walk in there. Yeah, that's called free enterprise, brother. All right, but yeah, no, you get those movies
You're
too.
right,
And the
yeah,
thing
yeah,
is,
yeah.
you would never understand a damn thing. Actually, again, another correspondent on the show, Amy McCabe, told me that's how she learned to speak Japanese. She learned to speak Japanese from those, and she learned to speak Spanish from watching telenovelas the same way.
I feel that's like Wayne's World. She's like, where did you speak English?
It's like, well,
Where'd you learn?
college.
College and the Police Academy movies.
Yeah.
exactly.
For me, it's like the Cosby
Whatever
Show, which I
does
can't
it,
say
you
out
know,
loud
whatever.
now. Yeah. All right, but no, jumping into, I better bring up a thing real quick here. I want to jump into the news stories real quick because we got a lot of good stuff, a lot of weird stuff. This first one, though, I don't know, man, makes me proud to be a black man in America. Some of you can't really say that often these days.
Mhm.
But now this is a good thing, man. Not just as a black man, dude, as a comic fan. Now, the story we're talking about, March Book 3, becomes the first ever book to win a U.S. National Book Award. Now, this is pretty much the Oscars of literature.
Mhm.
Like, only top stories, prestigious things, Pride and Prejudice level joints win this. This is the first time ever a comic book has picked up the award. Now, it's about, I got the dude's name here. What?
Congressman John Lewis.
Thank you.
Mhm.
There
Congressman
you
John
go.
Lewis, John Lewis, one of the dudes that marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Most recently, he did the sit-in that they did. I don't think that went all that well, but they were
Right.
trying to make a statement. They did in Congress. They did like a sit-in to be reminiscent of the violence or to
Oh,
protest
the gun
the
violence,
the gun violence in the streets.
Yeah,
or
that was
whatever.
a few months ago. You're
Yeah,
right.
about a couple months ago. But John Lewis is a legend within civil rights circles. But
Yeah,
please, you
and
continue.
you're right, and that was the first time I actually like knew of him, and then started look into what he did. But it was like, you're right, it was a few months ago that happened.
Yep.
Mhm.
One of the things I was getting at is that he's still doing it. That's what's big about this dude. It's not just that he was one of those old guys that did that, something cool back then and then retired. He's a dude that's still active to this day, earning civil rights for people and trying to make a difference. Now, the book itself, March Book 3, and I specifically say Book 3 because it's the third in a trilogy.
And this was like the only book that won, or was it recognized for the trilogy?
Well, this was the top one. It was 5 nominees. I actually didn't write down the other names. I did check them out, and they were just standard titles. This was the comic book that took it all, which is tremendous. First
what I'm
time
saying
it ever
is, it
happened
was
that
like, was it recognized for the
the entire
trilogy of
trilogy or just the
comics,
book?
or was just
Okay.
specific book, the third book?
Wow, they actually didn't specify. They emphasized that it's a trilogy. The entire story completes here. So I would anticipate that it is this one,
Just this
only
one,
because
yeah.
you don't
Right.
gauge a James Bond book by every James Bond
By
title
every,
ever.
yeah, sure.
And I think all the other ones dropped well in advance. Not like he dropped them all at once. So they dropped, I think, like a year apart each of them. Because I have them, and shame on me for not getting a chance to
Oh,
read
you
them
do?
all
You've
yet.
actually read these things?
No, I have not. I own them, but I have not read them. So shame on me. They're in
It
the
is a
queue.
shame on you.
It's
'cause I-
very. I do feel ashamed about it.
No.
yes.
We'll give you some leeway. I've seen your backlog, brother. Okay, it's like
Do you do the same thing I do, and is you buy like 1,000 books at once, and then
Yes,
you have
that's
like
exactly what I
a
do.
reading list that you can't possibly overcome within the
Exactly.
months you want to? Right.
be like in 2046. Man, I can't wait to see how this Harry Potter guy makes it out of.
So I'm like, I'm ready to talk about this now. And like, yeah,
It's
you're
like, no, way
you're like
behind, bro.
6 months behind that one.
What is this? The Hunger Games. I love stories about you.
You can't do topical stuff. You can't do topical stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is the latest. This is a story that recounts his life, John Lewis, Congressman John Lewis's life during the Civil Rights Movement in 1960s America. John Lewis, anyone who doesn't know, we've mentioned the name several times, is a congressman from Georgia. And he helped organize the march. He was one of those dudes. But he also continues to tell stories outside of the march itself, just about different tales of the civil rights movement that people aren't terribly familiar with. That's one of the things that's made his name over the years, and why it's pretty big. This one specifically, was about the march. It's even called March. But they also include tidbits about, this is also a factor we had to consider. This is a thing we dealt with outside of the march that, may have hindered the actual event itself. He has inside information that he provides to people because he was there, from somebody who was directly involved and not from Martin Luther King's perspective.
Yeah. Well, you got to think how many people were there, and then how many people have stories of that day.
Yeah, true.
And how different are they? You know what I mean?
Like, granddad, I remember we were walking and it was hot, and I tried to tell him I don't give a damn about freedom right now. Give me some water. And then when we got there, and there was no concession stand, and I was pissed, so I got back on the bus and slept. All right, thanks, Pop.
Yeah.
Want to talk to someone who actually listened?
Yeah, but you imagine the people that were there that affected their lives, like firsthand. Like how many people retell this story?
No, very
like
true,
in history, like the hundreds of thousands. I mean, people that have watched it, they were affected by it. So, I haven't checked this out, obviously. Because I have nothing to say about it. But this is something that I deeply want to check out, and this is an important thing. So, I mean, have you?
Well, also, no, I haven't read it myself. This was actually news to me, and I was really blown away because it's not just the story of the march that really took it. And it's not just the fact that it was a prestigious figure like Congressman Lewis. Mm-hmm. It was the fact that this is the first time that a comic book was given that level of prestige, was considered on the same keel as, literature, quote unquote literature, thick ass books that people have always considered. These are real literature where comics are funny books for kids.
I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, it's not since a book like Mao's that told the story of, like Nazi regimes and put that in a processable format, dealing with cats and mice, that books have been considered, okay, this actually has a level of legitimacy. Sometimes it takes those extra levels. And this is the first time that an award as high as the U.S. National has been given to something that years ago would have been deemed just those throwaway.
Well, sometimes it takes picture books to be able to, like approach something like even R. Crumb's the Book of Genesis. Mm-hmm. You look at that. So like it took me almost, like I've never sat there and read the Bible, but I've thumbed through R. Crumb's Book of Genesis like a dozen or so times, and that's the most I've ever taken out of it. You know what I mean? Because it has picture, but it's told absolutely, true to the story, true to the Bible, and it
makes it easier to process.
Exactly.
I think that's the kicker for the March series. I mean, I read some of the first book, so I can't say I didn't touch it, but I definitely read some of the first book. And the way it opens up, it's John Lewis telling the story to his grandkids. So ultimately it's a major flashback is what it is, and he's telling the story about
basically the way a movie would show it.
Effectively effectively just that. And for me, the reason why I got the March to begin with is because it brought back a time in my life where I first got exposed to graphic novels. I think I mentioned before in the show, is when I've got my first graphic novel from my godmom about Crispus Attucks and the revolutionary in the Boston Massacre. What? So that was my very first graphic novel when I was 10 years old from my godmom. She was like, "You need to learn your history," and got that for me for a birthday gift. It's somewhere in my mother's house in the basement of the attic, but it didn't want wonders for me to be able to have this, to see people that look like me in comics. I were superheroes, but this was a real life story, and I think that's the kicker for the March series, that it does that. It brings it in a tangible sort of way, like you mentioned, like with Miles and so forth. And I think that explains why. So when you set up the news clip saying, "Hey, this really happened," I was surprised, but I wasn't, because the content is palatable for folks to be able to take. Like you said, it's not one of those stand on the soapbox, I'll be lecture to you about what happened, you young buck who don't know. But it's to tell you in a very tangible sort of way via graphic novels. And I think it's a testament to how well graphic novels are received in our society today.
Okay, see, now that's important. A lot of people tend to forget that graphic novels are books
Yes.
in comic form. They're illustrated literature, but they're still literature. And I'm hoping that this is the first like major step that will allow. Well, I mean, not necessarily. Oh, and now it has to be every comic that that comes out has to be considered. But no, maybe this will open the door for more media of this type to gain that kind of acceptance.
What could possibly have won it before? Though.
Before this?
Yeah.
Battle Pope, greatest hits. Actually, do a lot of stuff, man. I mean, okay, one of my personal favorites. There's a book by. Oh, actually, I was gonna say there's this book Quixote that I actually picked up from Image Comics a while back, which is just essentially just the story of Don Quixote placed in a more modern perspective, modern environment, where still the original Don Quixote, and it paints him as an existing figure. But as his time in history passed, he himself, as a supernatural hero, didn't die.
Yeah.
But he kind of rescinded into the background and was living in modern times as a homeless man until a threat to the world came about again. But I think a better example would be this book, Pedro and Me. Pedro and Me by Judd Winnick, a guy well known for being on The Real World San Francisco. And Pedro, a friend of his who was also on the show, a friend he made on the show, and was one of the most famous Real World cast members ever because he was the first one ever on that show to have AIDS.
Okay, yeah. It took me a second to remember that. Okay.
Yep. And Winnick wrote this book, very inspired, very dramatic, very touching, heartfelt tribute to his friend. That was Pedro's story.
Yeah.
His interactions with Pedro, and then all the stories that Pedro told him, leading up, up until the start of the relationship until Pedro's death, and then some parts after. Pedro's one of the main reasons that he met his wife, also from the show, and was married to her. From then on, which is kind of wild. It's all in the book, and it's really heartfelt. It's really like he pulls no punches, even though it's a personal story, and that's awesome. And it was just this fantastic read. I got at a point in life where I was just like, you know what? I'm really branching out, trying to read new books. Let me take recommendations from folks, which I never do anymore. That is dangerous as all hell. People have the worst taste. They will tell you but this is like the one of the few times it worked out for me. Yeah, Pedro and Me by Judd Winnick. I think this thing should have won awards a long time ago.
The time it worked out for me, I listened to somebody else. I listened to somebody else's recommendation.
The one time. One! All right. But
glad to know my last 1,000 reviews have worked out for you.
Well, no, of course. I mean, I think the exception there is Adam Lewis.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But that was well. Anyway, just to wrap that up, co-writer Andrew Aiden, who's also a member of Lewis's staff and was the one who originally pitched the idea for March as a comic, and look how that's worked out. He expressed an ideal takeaway from the event of March Book 3 winning this award, and it's let the prejudice against comic books be buried once and for all. And I'm like, simple statement, but that's true. Hopefully this, and it took some seriously prestigious material, but it was still presented in comic form. Let this be the first step in allowing all the media to be accepted.
Well, it's not just the media, it's the people too. You know what I mean? It always takes that one book that gets people to start thinking about something differently. Starts to think about, like in this instance, comic books as something more than just comic books, something like that. It's like funny stories with pictures. And it took me, it was like, I think The Watchmen, reading that and then reading that, and it was like, holy crap, this is like such an amazing story. And it's just, it has like photos next to it and everything like that. But this is like one of the greatest novels I ever read, and next to, and obviously a story told in pictures. And this was, and it takes something like that to really kind of break down that wall.
I agree.
And seeing something different, and then you're open to something else
as a
that
kid.
will be presented to you. And then it's got a long way to go, I think, in the comic book in terms of being taken seriously, like really seriously, consistently, but it's definitely on its way. You're right.
I think trade paperbacks are doing a wonder for that, though, because even though it is just a collection of single issues jam-packed into one, just that physical appearance of it looking like a book, as thick as a book,
right,
could even put people over the edge of saying, you know what, I'm willing to buy in that and invest in that. just by virtue of the fact that it has that appearance. I mean, even when I go on a train now, I see people with tons of graphic novels. Graphic novels are just trade paperbacks meshed into one issue.
It's like the pulp novels too, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I used to make friends like that. I'd have like a bunch of comics that I'd pull out on my commute
Mm-hmm.
to work, and every now and then someone would find this random brother on the train reading a book, like, oh, yo, dude, I read that. Or yo, you like comics? I love comics, but just let me tap you up real quick. And things. And when they're not asking for money on the train, it feels good when they're just like, oh, we're bonding over a thing. I'm gonna take the mean mug off now.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I need to raise money for the Boys and Girls Club basketball team.
Oh no, I had a special one last night. You know the Angry Preacher?
Yeah.
The Angry Preacher.
I know what you're talking about.
And I'm riding back, escorting my date home. And then this was new to her. She normally drives, so the reaction.
So you could have seen DJ Night Train.
I could have seen DJ.
You could have seen a bunch of other people, but you saw this one.
It's a Boston exclusive DJ Night Train.
What I want to know is what drives a person. When do you stop being a normal person? And that first day, you get up and say,
"You're right." The first day is really sat in my mind for a long time. It's like, when did the first time happen for this guy? When did he first get into that entranceway of this train and pretend to pull out a CD and sit there and mix it and ignore everybody on the train?
He has a Facebook page.
Really? Talking about Night Train.
Night Train. I took a picture of Night Train last time I see him. I was like, I need to get a picture of you, man. I mean, he was still mixing. They were giving me selfies, it's on there.
You think it was that time Jay-Z rode the bus to a concert?
I was like, Night Train, I need to get a picture with you, man. It's funny because all the people looking at me like, what? I'm like, I need to see Night Train. Yeah. I see you with years, son. Let's get a picture.
This must be your first time, yeah.
He was mixing. He had an iPad that's going around before.
Oh, he's upgraded. Last I saw this dude, he was on CDs and tape decks. Yes.
He had an iPad with a Bluetooth speaker. Wow. I was like, you upgraded, bro. I need to take a picture with you.
So where's they get the money, though? I don't know.
I'm hoping he's like an actual DJ.
He was for years.
Trust me,
I'm hoping still.
It's better as a mystery, too.
It is.
It's so much better.
It's kind of like the legend of DJ Night Train now. It's just the myth.
Literally, you find he's like a trust fund kid. He's just weird, he's going home.
Find his Facebook page. There's a little blurb on his Facebook page, and he was a local area DJ for the 90s. It's 82 to 92, and he does gigs every now and again. You can book him for gigs. Hit him up. Hit him up, man.
Let's hire him, yeah. I want to hire him to do this show.
I want to know what his gigs are too. That's the easiest.
Go on Facebook, man. I think I'm either following him or became his Facebook friend. One or the other. I need to get up on that. I need to get up on that.
I'm doing this, yo. I'm gonna hire him for the next party, yo. Have a surprise party.
We can have him in the back with his little Bluetooth speaker, right?
Yeah.
His little mixer, right? His little iPad.
It's private function. Now he'd be in the back playing Nintendo. Can't have that.
He probably would, but forget your show.
I'm a surprise of friends. Johnny, when's your birthday?
March. Jeez, man. Don't give me a heart attack, man. Thought I was going to mess that up.
Daisy Duke shorts on, whole 9 yards. It was a little chilly outside, so you think he had jeans and Doc Martens, you know what I mean? But
I love it. He's gigging. No matter what kind of weather, he's always gigging in the most inappropriate attire. Be out in T-shirts. There's 4 feet of snow outside. Probably
a mesh tank top. with the rainbow lanyard.
The bad guy from Commando.
Oh, man, it's awesome. It's awesome. Oh, jeez.
Boston Legends. All right, go ahead, man. Subway Legends.
All right. Okay, dig this. The next story, this is actually more poignant than we just wrapped up the vanilla pitch. Vienna, not vanilla. The vanilla. They hate me so much. That wasn't even a joke that time. The Vienna pitch is the show that comes on before us, very political and very politically themed, and they're nice enough to let me come on and discuss with them a couple of times.
Oh, so that was planned?
No,
because we were out there heckling did Pat just really walk in there, bro? Just sat down and grabbed the mic so I contributed?
Hey,
what?
Hey, man, you
just demoed this show? What?
Yeah.
Don't make it seem like I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, and everyone's sitting out there we're talking business and we're out in the lobby area of the show, and then Pat walks into this other show's going on, and he sits down and starts talking.
He walks into the studio. No, Pat walked in the middle of the area of their show, right? If they had Twitch, you would see it. He walks in, those of you who watch it, he walks and sit in Johnny's chair and just grabs a mic, just starts contributing to the conversation. We're sitting here out in the lobby like, are you kidding me? Did Pat just walk in there? Oh, he was like, nah, Pat just sitting back, just chilling. Like, no, he's not. He's pulling up to the table.
Well,
he
when
has a
things
mic.
to say,
Are you kidding me?
You're right.
Hey, I gave Herb a high. I waved at him. He knew I was here. That's
true. That's the only guy that matters when somebody else.
I guess so. You don't tell your coach. You don't tell the rest of the team that you walking out on us, but I
didn't tell you,
we still Herb.
Prestigious ass story, y'all. First, I am not a villain. I did not. They were cool with it. I asked before I say anything, and no, I just had some information I really want to chime in on because they were talking about our president-elect Donald Trump again. So I had a few choice words.
The Lord and Sid. Yeah.
Oh, stop that! What you just saw on Twitch, if you're not watching, is Johnny gets struck by lightning there. But now the story is the cast of the Broadway show Hamilton recently had an encounter with Vice President-elect Mike Pence. I call him Vice President-elect. All right, fine. Monitor, brother. All right. Well, what happened is the cast decided to deliver a message to Vice President-elect Pence right after the show, and this was premeditated too. Like they got together, had a meeting, wrote everything in a letter, and then planned. Once the show was over, before the audience leaves, we'll say, "Hey, hold it right there, buddy. We got beef." The abridged version is we are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us. We truly hope this show, he's talking about Hamilton, this show has inspired you to uphold our American values and work on behalf of all of us. Now, since the event, now this was just to let them know, it's like, dude, we're scared. You know, we are the
absolutely.
people we represent.
I mean, he speaks for definitely at least 52% of the American public.
Yeah, no, very poignant stuff. They all gathered around one dude, and the dude that played Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr.
Yeah. Came out and delivered himself. He was designated the representative. He was properly voted in.
That's Aaron Burr. I mean,
Aaron Burr. No, I remember.
The peanut butter commercial.
That was a little
one of the first
one
of the first Got Milk commercials, right?
Yeah. But no, since the event, there's been a huge backlash in the media. A lot of uproarious tweets on Twitter. The most famous of which being from the president-elect himself, Donald Trump, who called the event. Yeah, seriously. I mean, I can understand people are upset. The responses fell into two camps. It was like those that were like, yeah, hell yeah, right on, go ahead. And others who were like, that was really inappropriate.
It's like it has for the last however months. Yeah, however many months. And the first thing I thought when I saw this was is two things. It's like, one, it's like this is a group who thought they were very, tough, kind of coming out and speaking. And then now they're picking on the theater geeks who made fun of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
What I think is ironic is the image of omnipotence seems to be shattering in the I guess taking of the highest office in the country by one of their own.
Well, this was
essentially what
it wasn't an attack. You know what I mean?
No,
it wasn't. It was like the camera's flashing attack that he says. It was like, we are concerned, we are scared. I hope you will listen to us.
Yeah, dude, I listened to the clips.
Very basic. You know what I mean? Like that, you can look at that, and it was like, we are not. It's not like a condemnation. This was like, we are scared. Please.
It was very calm. Yeah. It was very. It was just an.
I definitely hear you. And normally, maybe because of my role that I play or the position I'm in as a thriller priest, if you will, I try to look at things from multiple angles. But even with this, it's kind of hard for me to look at it from multiple angles because at its bare minimum, when you are the president or the vice president, and you go to a public place like that, you're gonna get asked a question.
Yep.
You should expect that.
You're on the clock all the time.
So all these folks who are screaming that it was unfair. I hate to say it, but you're stupid.
You're
because
right.
That's your job. You were constantly on. We are president and VP.
Exactly.
So even if they did attack him,
which they did not,
but even if they did, bro, you take that on the chin. You are the VP elect, man. You're on. They're gonna talk. Did you think you're just gonna be able to sit in the back and just like, okay, I'm glad y'all entertained me.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Like, no, of course they're gonna address you.
And
I mean,
it's
they
like
address the president. If you're a governor, they're gonna address you. Like, that's just what you do. That's your job. So
if you're the
what's
local
your
bootleg
problem?
man, they will ask you what you have coming up.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is, it's like President Obama didn't get any of this. He got sent pictures of watermelons growing on the lawn of the White House by his own, like the neighboring party.
Yeah, selective
Like,
memory is very popular.
Yeah, and
when you
he
have...
dealt with it like a man, like.
Yeah, I love that man. Yeah.
This is one of the first shows we've kind of like brought up some of this stuff, and we're not
because
gonna.
This is the first time it's
yeah.
really been relevant to like
the pop culture news and everything. You're right, and
but the fact that the president got involved and demanded that they apologize on
President-elect.
Excuse me, the president-elect. You're very correct.
And that you thought it would be something different.
Well,
did you really think so?
Might be an issue too. Is like, oh my God, he's saying all these things. He's imploding. He's imploded 1,000 times.
I'd like to understand.
I'm like, somebody just need to take his phone away. Like, bro, give me your phone.
It's not gonna happen.
You're drunk. Give me your phone.
It's not gonna happen.
I'd like to remind him he's not considering the big picture. Think about the worst case scenario of what happens to presidential people when they go to the theater, Lincoln. Now his actual quote is, "What's up? What happened? People pointing at me.
No, I just
doing a thing.
I'm sorry. I just got that like wicked late.
Oh, okay. All right. No, his actual quote itself was, "The theater must always be." You all have picked up right on Mike. You know that. Yeah. No, it's okay. The theater must always be a safe and special place. Now, ironically, that was the quote from President-elect Donald Trump himself. Now, what's bugged out is the person least upset about this appears to be Pence himself.
Right.
He was there. He was in the thick of it. He was the target of this.
I think he's at the lunch, probably. Yeah.
Oh, maybe, but he gave a. Now, I watched the actual delivery of the speech itself. They were very calm. It was very controlled. There was no vitriol. It was just. Look.
You're right. He was there. He actually heard it and he understood. You know what I mean? Opposed to being like on the internet and then hearing a headline and then exploding. You know what I mean? Instead of watching something.
And I mean, at the same time, much
There's
of his due to the fact that he actually has experience as an executive,
as a politician,
as a politician in the executive branch. I mean, he's governor of Indiana, so I'm pretty sure he's been around different shows that happened in Indiana where they pulled him aside or they addressed him right then and there. This is not his first rodeo, so he's been there before. Yeah. So I think that's what we expect from someone who's like, well, I'm not offended at all because one of those sort of things that I kind of knew was going to happen, But once again, like you mentioned, Adam, when it's somebody who doesn't have that sort of experience of being a presidential or someone serving in government in the executive branch specifically.
When you're a reality TV star,
it's an issue.
You resort to social media to explode. Exactly.
Well, hopefully Pence can sort of keep Trump in check.
I hope so, man.
This is a guy that believes that if you have an abortion, you should have a funeral for an unborted fetus. I don't think we're going to expect much from him in terms of
level-headedness.
You know what's messed up? You know what's messed up? I watched Pence's rebuttal to it on I think it was I want to say CNN, but it may have been MSNBC. But it was just a quick minute, quick minute reaction to I understand their point of view, and their words were very eloquent. They was very well stated, and I'm aware of their concern, and I'd like to assure them that we'll do our best, and I understand this is a tough time for some people to process and to regain faith in their government. Basically, his words came across not just like a politician, but as like an individual who actually cared. And I'm like, wow, maybe I've misjudged this dude. Maybe I should have faith in our incoming vice president. The incumbent government may not be all that bad. And then I was reminded by a different story that this dude may have made a comment along the lines of like, we need to sew up women's vaginas so they can't have abortions. And I'm just like, you know what? Okay, so back to reality. But the cast of Hamilton called the man out. This is the state of our government. So
well, I mean, they took it upon themselves. They're saying, let's attack this guy. Like, we have the opportunity to say something. We're all concerned. Let's take this opportunity, which is like any caring United States citizen would. Exactly.
I encourage our listeners to look into this because this is big, and I'm not encouraging outlandish acts of we're gonna call out everybody at every protest and things, but just be aware and hopefully making them aware that we have concerns.
Yeah.
It's not just like, the Democrats are in office and the Republicans are crazy people. It's just like, no, the shoe's on the other foot. Republicans are going into office, and the Democrats, liberals, the non-Republican, the non-GOP part of this country, which does exist despite, what you may what you may consider just deep in the fog of war, has concerns. So hopefully things like this, even though it's a little extreme, will bring this to light.
I wouldn't necessarily call it extreme whatsoever. Personally, I don't call it extreme at all. But you're right. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. All right, but
I would have taken him for a Cats guy.
I wanna, John.
Mike Benz, I would have taken him for a Cats guy. Let's see the movie. Cats.
I would think Mamma Mia myself, but maybe that's just my point of view. No,
maybe. Yeah.
But the voice you just heard right there is the man that's going to give us the inside stuff on the Handmaiden.
Yeah, man. Park Chan-wook.
Park Chan. Let me call him Chan Ho Park. What's wrong with me?
It's because you say it backwards.
Because I'm racist.
Sometimes, you know what I mean?
I apologize. I've got everything against black people.
You're right. Korean director, you probably know him from Old Boy, like we mentioned before. You know what I mean?
Stuff.
It was like a saying. I remember the first time I saw Old Boy and how messed up I was.
Because you watched it when you were 7. Okay, that's a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not.
But his newest movie, The Handmaiden, it was Sarah Waters' 2002 novel, Fingersmith, is what it's based off of.
Finger bang?
You know, it's so messed up. I thought that same thing. Damn shame.
It's you.
Damn shame.
You.
I've been hanging out with Herb too much, man. You gotta
Both
forgive
of
me.
you.
I think so.
Exactly. No,
Dang,
this
Herb.
Bad influence.
This takes place in 1930s Korea, the time of the Japanese occupation of Korea, and it centers on the story of this Japanese heiress in secluded countryside, and she's hired by this. She's a pickpocket. She's recruited by this swindler Japanese count. He's posing as a Japanese count, and his plan is to seduce this woman and marry her, and then take her money, and then admit her into a insane asylum. And
okay, yeah, nothing convoluted about that at all.
Exactly. So this is a very dense plot. This is a love story. This is a revenge story. It's a gothic thriller. And there's a lot going on in this movie, and it's very hard to follow, but it's so beautiful to look at. It's so you're wanting to follow, and there's a lot of things that reveal itself.
Well, his work is notoriously intricate, historically. Is this along the same lines? Because from the description you gave, it doesn't really sound like it doesn't sound like I should expect the same level of action and nth degree, almost perverse.
Like I said, there's a lot of parts of the story that go different ways, and it's none of them is overwhelming. Like I said, it's a deep thriller in some parts, and it's a very romantic in some parts, and there's some very gratuitous sex scenes.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes it's horrifyingly violent.
Okay, you had me at sex scenes. Continue, please.
Well, and then violence. I don't know. I hope that gets you too. But and it swings from these different plot points, and some of it is really gnarly, especially the violence. There's torture, there's there's blood splattering everywhere, and then it's sex, and then there's all this different stuff.
I've never heard these things to offend you in a movie though.
No, I'm not saying it offends me. I'm saying it could if it dwelled on each one of them gratuitously.
Got you.
But it happens to be part of the story, and it happens to be necessary to furthering the story along. So it doesn't just sit there and dwell on each one of them. It doesn't sit there on a sex scene for 15 minutes and you're okay, it's definitely past its moment.
No, you only need 2, maybe 2.5.
You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, 4 if we take it.
And so it swings from these parts, and then it ends with this beautiful twist that I obviously won't give away because that's some of the beauty of the movie. But it is such a pleasure to watch. It's obviously in subtitles, and it's a very dense plot, like I said, so it takes some patience. But if you sit through it, it's definitely a fantastic movie to try to get through.
Wait, there was another movie called The Handmaidens, right? This isn't a follow-up or sequel or anything.
Like I said, this was based on a book. I know there was a movie, it was an old Korean movie, but I don't think it's the same thing.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah,
all right.
I believe so.
All right, The Handmaidens, dude. This is in theaters now.
Yeah, absolutely. Park Chan-wook, man.
Nice.
Zach Coolidge, obviously, where anything decent's playing.
Nothing the Coolidge. See, I've always been a Kendall guy. We know butted heads over that, but the Coolidge does some good stuff.
Coolidge does some really good stuff.
Not gonna sleep on the Kendall though.
No, I go there too.
All right, cool. All right. Just checking. Got to make sure we didn't have to have a knockdown and drag out Geek Down free for all. All right. Now I look across the table at J.M. the Thriller Priest. He wants to remind me that he is not my Negro.
No, I'm not.
And I'm like, come on, man. We go way back. And he was like, get you. I'm kidding, brother. You have a movie review, bro. Lay it on us, please.
Yes, as I'm trying to be super duper high speed and put this on the Geek Down's page the trailer for it, but you just have to find it yourself, or I can do it after the show. One or the other. There's a movie that's dropping out pretty soon, the 3rd of February of 2017, called I Am Not Your Negro. It is by Raoul Peck, who's a Haitian-born director.
Are you shit?
I was waiting for it.
I was waiting for it too. Like, come on, say it, drop it, P, drop it.
That's my people, yo.
That's my uncle. We go back.
Yeah!
It's my only other soundbite if you from was like the first Grand Theft Auto.
Wait, I remember that too. That was corny. I guess he kept leaning out the car. Moogie. It's like, that's not what people say. That's not.
I was like, that's so horrible on so many levels. I was like, from the first Grand Theft Auto.
All right, my bad, man.
That's all good. No, it's all right, man. So this 90-minute long movie, I saw it at the Brattle for the Boston International Film Festival is how I saw it. So great film. It's composed entirely of the words of James Baldwin's unfinished piece, Remember This House. He only did 30 pages of it before he actually passed away. So Sam Jackson is the only person listed as a character in the film because he narrates the entire thing. Like I said, the entire movie, all the dialogue in terms of the storytelling, if you will.
Oh,
that's
so
not...
the actual title is I'm Not Your Negro, Mother.
I still would have saw if that was the title. So Sam Jackson does an amazing job narrating it. When I walked in to see it, I was like, I heard Sam Jackson say it. Watching this, it's no offense, gentlemen, some stereotypical Harvard film student with the freaking beanie cap.
You got some
walking around with his hemp shirt and his freaking Birkenstocks in the winter. It's like, this is Sam Jackson's greatest film, y'all, whole year. I'm like,
some Chadwick.
I was sitting there like, what? The whole year? But all right. But I got to give him his due, which is amazing to hear Sam Jackson tell this story through the words of James Baldwin. And ultimately, this narrates the lives of 3 people that Baldwin knew intimately, their lives when they were alive and as well as their deaths. Primarily Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Medgar Evers. So ultimately, his goal was to interact with them and talk to him throughout the Civil Rights Movement, in which he did. But ultimately, he tells a story about how he worked with them and how they were ultimately 3 men with similar goals, even though they crossed paths very little. But they still worked for similar goals. And ultimately, when they died, his visits to their family and connecting with their family and just the issues with Black America, in terms of blacks in America, rather, is what he addresses throughout the film. It opens up with a clip from the Dick Cavett show. And for those of you who are on Facebook, you've probably seen the clip come tons of times of Baldwin just spazzing out about racial inequality and that sort of thing. Ultimately, took that whole clip and used that throughout the movie in speeches from Baldwin and presentations from Baldwin in the midst of these excerpts of Baldwin's text. As in addition to Baldwin's text, it's also clips of him writing letters to his editor as well, explaining to him, this is my idea for the text that I'm writing. So it's just amazing to hear from Baldwin because it's just great to be able to hear this man's words, even though he's long gone, but his words are resonant because of the state of affairs which we're in right now. Absolutely, there are clips that are inserted from Ferguson. There are clips inserted from different civil rights leaders as well. But like I said, the primary text of this film is his unfinished work, Remember This House. Yeah. So overall, it's a great movie, and I definitely strongly suggest you to watch it. I see a couple of listings on YouTube saying that it's on there. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's one of those Rickroll things where you click it and it says, go down to the description to find a bootleg. I don't know. Dude, I'm just saying, just buy it.
Disrespectful stuff. It's like, it is. I never gonna give you up. I can't do it.
So I'm not sure if you're gonna get Rickrolled, but I'm telling you right now.
Someone mess around, put him in blackface too. You know what's gonna happen.
For real. But I'm telling you right now, Magnolia Pictures optioned it, which is great, and it's gonna be in theaters across the country February 3rd. So I'm very glad for that. So if I gotta tell you to watch a movie, watch this. I'm buying this. It's an amazing film. I mean, some of the different critic organizations gave it a 96. Out of 100, 7.3 out of 10. So, I mean, for me, I give you a thumbs up. Go see this film.
Cool. All right. It's called, once again?
I Am Not Your Negro.
Oh, brother, please. We dapped him and everything.
That was just for show, brother. That was just for the Twitch audience. I don't even like this guy.
No love. All right. It's okay. Herb's got my back. Woo. There you go.
That was fake, too. Herb knows.
Stop it.
As soon as Pat walks in the room, we can look at each other like, never liked that Negro to begin with.
Hey. Well, Well, I'm trying hard not to say the line. I can't say the lines. I'll sip my soda. I'm not gonna do it.
I'm gonna say if you don't say it.
Man, no, you got the soda. You go ahead.
As I sip my soda,
Clap for me, bitch.
then I'm sure somebody's spitting it. Y'all need to watch the Chappelle show if you don't know where that came from. Watch the Chappelle show.
They know where it came from. I know these people.
Play a hater's ball.
All right. Well, I'm gonna talk about a comic that I got to check out called Space Battle Lunchtime. Now, they just released Volume 1 of the graphic. This is the collection of the first 6 issues that have been running over the course of 2016. And for all intents and purposes, it's just a light, kind of a funny book about a woman who's by pure happenstance, tapped to compete in an intergalactic level Iron Chef type competition. And when I say, I don't mean like, we brought everyone from across the world. I mean, literally, put into a spaceship, launched into space, and broadcast into a competition with competitors from other planets, other galaxies, and it was good. Nothing. There's no surprises here. That's the plot from beginning to end. There's nothing really out there. There's no like wild twist. It's just, if you were a baker and you got called in,
so is there ingredients from other planets?
Yes, and that's one of the things she struggles with when she knows how to cook food on Earth. But when you're like, okay, this thing looks like an egg, but it smells like, beef bourguignon. And it tastes like a lemon. What the hell can I do with this when the actual challenge today is soup? Things like that. So she's dealing with those, and they work that into kind of. You'd think they'd work the comedy in more, and that's what one thing I did notice and have to kind of call it on. It's a funny book, but it's not raucously funny, and that's a real nitpick of a critique, because what I find funny might not be what you find funny, might not be what you find funny.
Mm-hmm.
I myself am a culinary connoisseur on an amateur level. Basically that means I'm a brother that can cook. But I'm not a chef. I'm not a professional.
Chef Homeboy RD.
I'll take that, sure. But I'm not a professional chef, so maybe some of the references were a little too inside. I'm also not one of these hobbyists that spends my time. Well, I know who Alton Brown is; he's the man. But I don't have every book in his catalog and stuff. And I have friends that do, and they take it to that level, that nth degree of seriousness. So maybe that's who this book is meant for. I'm a casual, culinary aficionado, and it might be intended more for people who are deeply immersed in the world of food, of preparation, who watch Iron Chef, know the characters, know the difference between Mark DeCosta's hosting and Alton Brown hosting. They'll know why Morimoto may be overrated, because the real champion and something. I'm all about
Guy
Grill Master.
Fieri.
All day,
Rachel
all
Ray.
day.
Let's get it.
So it sounds like this book is an acquired taste.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much. All right. Well, anyways, the book is called Lunch Battle Space Time. Lunch Battle Snake. Lunch Battle. You threw me way off. Damn. Space Battle
You got the Herb
Lunchtime.
clap of approval. I'm sorry.
Man. Okay, shame on all of you. You're supposed to be on my side here, all right? Look, it's called Space Battle Lunchtime. I dig this. Lights, camera, snatch it. All right, that was good, but you know it was. All right, it's by Natalie Rice and Hillary Thompson. Quick edit by Robin Herrera, and it was an enjoyable read. Despite my critique of the comedy itself, it wasn't not entertaining. I wouldn't recommend anyone rush out and pick this up unless they are specifically a fan of cooking shows, of cooking competition shows, and of cooking in general. If you're really deeply into
there's
Anthony
only
Bourdain's
an audience
backstory,
for that.
then you want that. I would recommend checking out if you're a fan of those already. If you're not, there's other things you can check out just to pass the time. This is just a fun book. Space Battle Lunchtime. The graphic volume 1 is out right now. Lights, camera, snaction. If you want to check out any of the individual issues too, you can get those at your local comic shop. Now, I want to find out what's going on with WWE Survivor Series. I've heard things, brother.
Yes, you have. All right, I'm gonna try to break through this quick. You might have to throw a little timer on me, brother, because I'm trying to make sure I give due diligence.
You give the information you feel you need to give. The people want to know.
As my man is pulling up the timer anyway. Hey, we on camera, brother. They see this. They see this.
And okay,
Ooh, that's a lot of time. Okay, brother, you ain't lying. Thank you.
I'm looking out. Yeah.
Yes, you are. All right, because I'm gonna break down NXT's Takeover 2 because that was the night before. Okay. So I mean, and as Samoa Joe would say, the new NXT champion, Triple H tells us we need to set up these weekends that they have to compete against us, which is
Samoa
great.
Joe, he got small hands.
Samoa Joe's you're a mess. You're a mess. So NXT Takeover took place in Toronto. It's a great show. Overall, great show. One of my favorite shows. I'm gonna highlight just a couple things. One, Bobby Roode's entrance was one of the greatest entrances I've seen in pro wrestling in a long time. His gimmick is the glorious one, or glorious Bobby Roode. I'm pretty sure if you saw some of the gimmicks online where they will have glorious playing really loud, it seems like you're like, where did this come from? It came from Bobby Roode's gimmick. This show had like a 60, 70 person choir. And it looked like it was like Jesus Christ Superstar. You watch it, it's like, you gotta be kidding me, but it was done so well, and the audience bought it so well.
I hope he
won. It was
won.
done very well, and he did win.
Okay, right.
He did win. I mean, it's Bobby Roode.
You walk out with all that though, and then you lose.
You're winning. You gotta win. You gotta win.
Well, I mean, like clothesline.
He won. I mean, he's a legend, TNA legend.
I really thought you were about to say though, it's like Bobby Roode, son of Ravishing Rick.
Legit gets that all the time. People think he's Rick Rude's kid. It's like, nah, name spelled different, bro. I'm not his kid.
Man, okay. You say that, but watch the DNA test gonna come up one day, and he gonna walk in. That choir's gonna start singing. He's just gonna do this. It's on him.
So it was a great match. It made Ty Dillinger look really good too. Who's a local Canadian guy. Who's on the come up. So even though he lost the match, he still looked great because Bobby Roode is a great wrestler. The Revival, which is probably the best tag team I'll say in all of WWE, dropped their titles to this team. Corny name, but they have the whole working man gimmick, DIY. I'm like, that's really the name, bro. Like, we really couldn't get creative better than that. But nice match. The Revival, dropped the titles to them, and the Revival's the first 2-time champions in NXT, so it's really good for them to drop the belts to this up and coming team. We'll see what happens. Mickie James. Haven't seen her in forever. They say she last wrestled WWE 6 years ago, but I could have sworn it'd been longer than that.
Wait,
Mickie James
still in shape after all that time?
Still in shape, man. She's damn near 40. I think she's like legit 37. Still looks good. Yeah. She fought Asuka for the title, and Asuka beat the hell out of her, but Mickie James made it a really good match. Nice. I'm just really glad to see a woman who's a little on the older side still able to go. Yeah. And she pushed it. I was really impressed.
You just made Adam's day. He loves a gilf.
And finally, Samoa Joe went up against Shinsuke Nakamura, and Nakamura's interest was amazing too. I mean, because his instrumental music's primarily of violin strings. The last pay-per-view they had this famous black guy, I wish I remembered his name. He was the one who actually played the violin for Nakamura to the ring. So instead, they had like 20 violinists. So they have violinists playing as he's walking down the aisle, and when he gets into the ring, there's about 6 violinists in the ring. So he's doing this thing, and they're playing, and the part that was just like, wow, Nakamura does this little thing where he drops to the ground, and he starts thrusting in the air. The violinists are surrounding him, and they're playing, and they're leaning into him as he's thrusting at the same time in rhythm. It is freaking amazing. It was awesome. Just for that level of production.
Brother, at some point they actually wrestle, right?
At some point they wrestle, but the funniest thing, I'm sitting here watching this, right? I'm looking at Samoa Joe stand outside the ring. He just had this look like, man, F your entrance. Like the whole time, he's looking at his face like, F your entrance. Like, because Joe just came out, like, Samoa Joe come out, t-shirt, shorts, towel around his neck, and he just walks down the aisle. He comes in the ring, throws up the Samoan Hawaiian aloha sign, and he walks out, and that's it. So this whole interest of Nakamura took like 10 minutes. And I'm just like, Joe sitting outside the ring like, we gonna fight or what? Like, look at his face. I'm here to fight. Like,
Joe came to work on a Monday. Nakamura's like at his one-man step show. Like, walks in, whoop, da-da-da-da-da, whoop,
pretty much. So pretty much it was a great show. NXT TakeOver, amazing show. Let's jump to Survivor Series. Survivor Series, for those who don't know about how Survivor Series works, typically it's based off the Survivor Series match, whereas historically it was a 4-on-4, single elimination. Guy gets eliminated, last team survivor wins, or the sole survivor or the surviving team wins. So WWE years past extended it to 5 people. So it's a 5-on-5 thing they got going, which is great. So they ended up doing 3 primary matches. They did a women's match with 5 women from both Raw and SmackDown. So they did this whole brand versus brand, which is pretty good. They did a men's match, and then of course they did the world champion, the main event match, which is Lesnar versus Goldberg. So I highlight the 2 Survivor Series matches. There were more, but these 2 are the big ones. The women's match, Raw took it. For those who don't know, Charlotte and Bayley were the sole survivors from Raw. And then Charlotte knocked out Bayley at the end of the match, which was good because it sets up for that Bayley-Charlotte rivalry that we've been looking for. We've been waiting for it for a while, so I'm really glad that's coming up. And the men's match, which was pretty much all the heavy hitters from SmackDown versus all the heavy hitters from Raw. And it worked out very well because you saw 2 big things out of this match. Well, 3. 1, Shane McMahon got tore up to the point where he had a concussion. That was bad. Like, to the point where they stopped. They said he was eliminated because normally, apparently under the one of these sort of how do you call it, unspoken about rules, if you will, that the referee cannot count to 3 if your shoulders aren't down. So he was going for his move to coast, where he jumps from one turnbuckle to the next, a flying drop kick to the person who's like in the corner of the second turnbuckle. Yeah. He went for the jump. Roman Reigns jumped up and speared him midair.
Oh!
And that Joker's head slammed to the ground, to the mat.
Well,
he had a concussion.
It's not funny if he got hurt.
He got hurt, man. It was a great move. Watch, like, oh crap! But he dropped, and Reigns went for the cover. 1, 2, but my man's shoulder was up. It's not that he kicked out; it's just that he was not.
It's just his bones were warped.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Then the ref was like, "I can't count 3 because his shoulder is up." And Reigns gets up looking dazed, and McMahon's not getting up. Like, his eyes are just bugged out, like, what the hell's going on? So it's looking pretty bad. The ref just does this whole, points to him, wrap this up. It's like, Shane McMahon's been eliminated.
Pause. Oh, okay, because I was really hoping you were going to say, so they weekended Bernie's them into the
Waving with his arm connected. Yeah.
Oh, Shane's fine. We'll count out now. He just
Bernie's
head bobbing.
They got them violins. Right?
What are they?
I can bring those out again, get them dancing.
What are they playing? What are they playing? Monopoly in that too? He's like,
they would never play Monopoly in that.
Yo, why is every
$10 on the beauty contest.
Why is every story with Shane McMahon about him getting hurt and some ridiculous high fly? The last time you mentioned Shane McMahon,
when he jumped off the damn
he
cage,
jumped off the top of the sucker.
When he climbed up, said a quick prayer, and then jumped. The part that's crazy, his kid was at this one too. I was like, yo, stop bringing your kid to this, bro. So one of the things that I felt was
he needs his second his what do you call it? His next of kidney in case he needs a kidney.
Yeah, for real. But I mean, it's one of those sort of things where it was like, I felt proud to be a wrestling fan because when this part happened, it was just like, wow. McMahon's freaking out. You can definitely tell the guy's not clearly there. His eyes are glazing over. The ref does the quick. He's been eliminated. It's like, what the hell's going on? How did he be eliminated? Like, he didn't kick out, but his shoulder wasn't down. It's like, nah, this brother's clearly like lights out. Get him out.
By eliminated, he means dead.
You're a mess. So Randy Orton breaks character. Peep game.
You thought you were watching Survivor Series. You're really watching the Kumite. Sorry.
Randy Orton breaks character, walks over to his family, and tells him, yo, he's going to be all right. And it's just like, wow. Like, that level of professionalism. Like, he made it look slick, though, because, like, he walked over and just leaned on the friggin' turnbuckle, on the barrier there, and just said to the kid quickly, your dad's going to be all right, don't worry about it. And then got back to the fighting, which is like, wow.
Professional, then he did the Orton pose afterwards, right?
He should have.
He put his hands out. He's like, your dad's going to be okay. Because I'm the greatest now.
So overall, it was a great match. 2 things also happened in the match. So one, McMahon getting knocked out. So that's, I guess, 0. 1 would be when the Shield reunited briefly. Okay. And that was awesome to see that. Even though they're on different brands, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins were on the Raw brand. Dean Ambrose came from the outside in his SmackDown shirt, and all 3 of them did the Shield powerbomb to the table. They powerbombed AJ Styles. But the crowd went nuts to be able to see these 2 brands come together. It's like a temporary reunion that people have been waiting for. They've been waiting for the Shield to get back together. And they're not officially together, but it was a nice little reunion. And finally,
we don't have legit beef. We're tight.
Pretty much. Like, we're doing different things, but we don't have legit beef. So it's really nice for the fans. So they wait for the Shield to reunite.
I don't talk to these cats at Christmas, but I'll still send them a card.
Yeah, I can say that. And finally, Luke Harper came back for the Wyatt family, and the Wyatts ended up winning. So it was Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. They took the match, which was awesome. Because it was one of those sort of situations where you were scared that Roman Reigns is going to just Superman his way and just beat these two powerhouses and win the match again. But Vince McMahon did a great job and realized that if you force Roman Reigns down the throats of people again, they're going to lose it. So Roman Reigns lost. So it was really good to see him lose, even though he was the sole survivor for the Raw team.
Well, that shows they're paying attention then.
And that's the argument. But as I see my time ticking down, that is not the case with Lesnar and Goldberg. So when Lesnar and Goldberg went down, the match was about 1 minute and 20 seconds. Mind you, there was a huge buildup for this. The video game tie-in, the WWE 2K17 tie-in, this whole Lesnar and Goldberg haven't fought before. And the people's like, yes, they did. They fought at WrestleMania 20. At WrestleMania 20, they fought before. Okay, yeah, they did. But Goldberg, Lesnar needs to get his revenge. And Lesnar's the one who beat the streak, who beat the Taker, and da-da-da. So they built this up so much for a match to last 1 minute and some change. And I get it. I listen to all the different wrestlers and different insiders, people who work for WWE, all try to push the story like, it's okay, though. Even though it was a squash match, it's okay that it was. Because in the end, we need to make sure Goldberg looks great. And I'm like, that's garbage. Because you could have had Goldberg look great without making Lesnar look so bad. Yeah. Because in my mind, after all this work you put through with him beating Taker, him fighting Orton the last pay-per-view, busting up Orton's head, you build him up to be this monster. For him to get beat with 3 Goldberg moves in roughly 90 seconds, it's almost insulting to the fan. I knew you're gonna have. I mean, we all know. Come on now, we all know that Goldberg was gonna win. That's a given. He's gonna win. But you could at least made the match 5 minutes. It's almost insulting to the fan to say we're gonna squash him, and yeah, of course Lesnar can come back from this. Yeah, you could. I mean, WrestleMania is gonna be where they're gonna fight again. We know that, but it's just insulting to the fan.
Goes in line with Goldberg's whole career, though.
It does. Sure. It does go in line with Goldberg's whole career, but he could have done that to anybody. But you took your best guy. I mean, it's for me, it's the equivalent. I used this earlier of the finger poke of doom. Like you know the title was gonna get dropped, but you're gonna do it that way though. I mentioned it earlier to P. Like it's kind of like when I watch a horror movie, I know the black guy's gonna die, but it's like the black guy not getting slaughtered by the zombies or by the killer, but the black guy dies because he had pneumonia. You know what I mean? It's just like, are you kidding me? Like he's gonna die, but pneumonia though?
No,
you know,
brother, look at it this way. I mean, okay, that's disappointing, but it's just like I can see at the very least from a business standpoint, they did it to prove a point. And it's not popular, but it got their message across. It's like if you ever watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, anytime they wanted to introduce a new badass, what did they do? The first thing they did was they came on, they broke onto the Enterprise, and they punked Worf for no reason, whether or not he was there, because we'd say we got to find the badass and make him a biznatch, and that's what they did. They got Brock Lesnar, the Beast, and they did everything short of. If you've ever seen The Longest Yard, Goldberg was in there playing the dude with the really big dick. Yeah. All they did everything short of having him smack it on Lesnar's forehead. Yeah. So I understand what they were doing from a
I get it too.
From a business point of view, and it could have been worse.
You're right, it could have been worse. But overall, great pay-per-views this weekend, so definitely check them out, despite my opinion on the way it finished. Check them out.
Yep, and YouTube finger poke of doom. If anyone didn't catch that reference, you really need to be in the know. All right, thank you, brother. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, and this has been the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. I want to thank you all for joining us for another action-packed, fun-filled show. I want to thank my homeboy, Black Adam Willis. Yeah! All right, I want to thank JM the Thriller Priest.
Peace.
Want to thank Just Johnny.
Yo.
Want to thank DJ Herbie Herb. Yo. And, of course, want to thank you all for catching us right here on WEMF Radio. You can hear us every Monday night, 9 p.m. right here. Or, if you heard anything on this show you want to chime in on and keep the action going, you can hit us up at geekdownradio@gmail.com. Or you can also just go to the website. We got a contact section there. Get the information. That's geek-down.com. Also, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on iTunes itself. Haven't forgotten any of them. And also, for those of us that weren't watching, you can check us out on our beautiful faces here on twitch.tv/thegeekdown. If you go to WEMFradio.com on our show page, all the social media links are right there, including a list of the SoundCloud links. You can hear clips, get some inside information, any back shows you may have missed over time and catch up. And you can catch us right here every Monday night, 9 p.m. Like I said, same bad time, same bad channel. We look forward to catching you next week. Until then, be excellent to each other. Peace. All right.
Now you might be asking yourself, how do you get back on the right track? Well, you should be listening to WEMFradio.com instead of living in a van down by the...
Leaping forward